Hello everyone, welcome back to another Stitch with me, and I am so excited today to finally be doing my Tomb Raider chart. It has been a while, or it has rather, been a while since I planned on making a start on this one. I don't know if you've seen my floss tubes, but this chart was charted by me, but for personal use, from an artist, and it was it was a good few weeks ago now that I planned to do this, but it was just getting all the colours. I charted this with 160 colours, so I have been slowly getting the CXC threads. I was going to say DMC, sorry, but I was it took me a while to get all the CXC threads for this, so I am really excited to be starting it now. This fabric that I'm using is not like the normal fabric that I use. I bought this from Luca S, and at first I wasn't going to actually use it. I was going to go out and get something else. So I wanted 25 count fabric, and this pattern is 600 by 750 stitches wide and length. I think it's 750. I know it's 600 wide, but it was really difficult to find some 25 count fabric for it. Now I went on, I believe it was Hobby Jobby, where I bought this from, and they had this one that was from Luca S, so I thought, oh okay, I'll get this. When it turned up, it feels like plastic, if that makes sense. It's very stiff. I tried to soften it up, but it just doesn't seem to be playing game at all. And some lovely person messaged me. Well, they didn't message me, sorry. They left me a comment explaining what the fabric was usually used for. It's used for Luca S petite points, I believe. They sell some kits. They're a bit like Dimensions kits, where they do the gold. Is it petite gold collection or something like that it's called? Anyway, yeah, it's a weird fabric, but I don't know if I like it or dislike it. I mean, because of the size of it, I couldn't put it on the stand with all the excess fabric hanging over. It was very difficult to put on the stand. Well, I did try. I did actually put it on there, and I did try, but because there's so much excess fabric to the side of me, it just was really difficult. And it was actually, the stand seems to hurt my back, and I don't know why. So I was like, right, okay, so I stopped, which is why I didn't put the first stitch on camera, because I'd already done it while I was in the stand. And then I went into the craft room, took it off the Lowry stand, and just stitched how I always stitch, like holding a hoop, and it was so much more comfortable. I am used to having extra fabric around me when I stitch, because I typically do full coverage anyway. If you've seen my giant Lord of the Rings one, you'll know what I'm talking about. That one is 999 stitches wide, and there's a lot of excess fabric because it's an extremely wide one. So it's a lot easier for me to stitch how I am on camera now. I hope that the camera angle is okay for you, because obviously I'm not dead center in the camera, but it was just so much more comfortable, and obviously I am using Pattern Keeper, so my arm will go across the screen. So I'm just going to have a sip of coffee. It is very early in the morning. I have literally just opened my eyes, and this is the only time that I've got to do this voiceover. I am taking part in the 24 hours of cross stitch, so this video is being like recorded in the past. What? This video is being pre-recorded, and then I schedule these videos for a Thursday. So what I usually do is I do these on a Sunday, and then I put them up scheduled for a Thursday release on YouTube. But I am supposed to be doing this 24 hours of cross stitch so I don't have a lot of time. So it is currently 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday instead of the Sunday, and I am doing this before I wake my son up for school because he's got Saturday school today. But I tell you what, it is freezing, so I'm not sure if I should even wake him up. What is the weather today? Let's see if we can take a look. So it's 1 degrees now. Let's see if we can switch between Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit 34, Celsius 1. So he said he definitely wants to go. I mean, he's got his GCSEs coming up in May, so he's been revising and doing lots of revision and things like that. So I don't really want to be like, oh, I've let you sleep in if he wants to go. So I will wake him up and see how he feels. But I have got a lovely text message from my daughter telling me that there's some sort of 80-mile-an-hour winds. So really I need to get hold of my partner and tell him in case he's taking the train to work. Because I'd imagine if that is the case and there is going to be strong winds, they will be cancelled. Oh, I don't know. It's been freezing. And I feel, really feel for people overseas. In the US, I've seen like the snowstorms over there. They're absolutely crazy. You know, and I'm sitting there saying it's cold and them storms. I really hope everybody's okay. I really do. It's quite scary to look at on the news. So, I have an important thing to talk about. And I will get that out of the way first. So I want to talk about my Etsy shop. Now, my Etsy shop is shut temporarily. And I haven't actually really said the reason why. I did put a post up on Facebook telling everybody that the Etsy shop is shut. I want to spend more time with family, etc, etc. But there is a good few things, a good few reasons why. And it's more for my mental health than anything else. But the first thing that I need to tell you is that my daughter is expecting a baby. So my daughter is pregnant, and this is her first baby and my first grandchild. And it came as a big shock to start with. So I found out, she told me very early. I believe she was about 2 weeks pregnant when she told me, back in October, I believe she told me, or the end of September. And it took a long while to, I wouldn't say accept it, but just get the idea in my head. Because my daughter's 17, so she is very young, and she doesn't have her own place to live. So I was very worried for her and the child, if that makes sense. Like and obviously I was a young mother, and I know how difficult it is. So I was very worried. And then, so she told me that, and then this week she actually had the gender reveal. Well, I don't know if you call it a gender reveal. It was basically when she had the scan and they told her the gender. And it's actually a girl, so she is over the moon now, and she's finally telling everybody, because she was keeping it quite quiet. She didn't really tell that many people, so now she's put it on her social media and stuff like that. I feel more comfortable telling you guys, because I didn't want to tell her and then family members watch these and then they realise that she's pregnant before she told them. So I am going to be a grandmother to a girl. And it feels so weird saying I'm going to be a grandmother. I'm 33, by the way. Yeah, it's lovely, but it's also scary, and I am really worried for her. But I think she will smash it. I think she will be perfectly fine. So there's obviously going to be more to do in the family, more things to keep me busy. But I also, the main reason I shut the shop was for family and mental health. So I had my son go into homeschooling in September. My daughter told me she was pregnant in October. And then I started doing YouTube YouTube started getting more busy. The shop was getting busy. I was struggling to keep up with orders. And then when we went for the Christmas break, like when I had that week off of Etsy for the Christmas break, I felt so relaxed for the first time since April, since I'd opened the shop this year, because I was constantly thinking of the shop, but it was constant, like, in my mind. It was design new patterns, make new things, advertise, check the group, check the feedback, check social medias, make sure I was sharing it, and it was a lot. And I didn't actually have a single day off from April till Christmas time. And because I'm homeschooling now, my days looked like my days where I'm getting up at 6, obviously getting the kids up and everything. When school started, we do a lesson and then an hour's break. And in that hour's break, I would be doing stuff for the shop. And then we go back for the second lesson and then another hour's break, which was lunchtime. And I would be grabbing something to eat super quick and doing stuff for the shop. And then the next lesson, and then that's it, because he gets 3 lessons a day and they finish at 2. And then after that, I would be more stuff for the shop. You see, like I was constantly using up my spare time, and I realised a few days ago that I don't actually spend any time with my son other than when we do homeschooling because of the shop. So we're not going out, we're not leaving the house, because I am so preoccupied with catching up, because I'm doing the homeschooling for him. I then have to catch up during the times that I have got the free time with the shop. And I noticed that we weren't going out anywhere. I weren't even playing with him or watching telly with him, and he's bored and he's stuck in the house and wants to go out. And so since shutting the shop last week, I feel like I've had a weight lifted off me. I've been able to take him to the park in between breaks of school. I've been able to just rest in general while I'm not doing anything else. Mentally, I can just rest. I can just sit there and I can eat a proper meal, I have the time to eat meals properly again. So it's just, and then I can't remember when it was, I decided to shut it when I came back after Christmas, and I dreaded getting an order. And I was sitting there one day and my phone went off and I was dreading getting an order, and I got an order and I was like, oh. And then at that point I knew that it was time to shut it, because the orders for me meant that I had to do more work. And I was like, right, okay, you're clearly not enjoying the shop at the minute, so let's just put it on a break. So that's what I've done. I've put it on a break. It's going to be a couple of months. I'm hoping that Harrison's going to get, my youngest, the one that homeschool, Harrison's going to go to school soon. But if he doesn't, then I'm not sure what to do. I don't know whether to leave it shut until he goes back to school, so I've got enough time to do everything during the day, or whether I should just see how I feel in the summertime, or when it gets a bit warmer in the spring. I honestly don't know how long this shop's going to be shut for. It could be a month, it could be 6 months. I honestly don't know. I am very sorry to people that buy scented putty off of me, but there is other sellers out there, and if you are desperate, you can just message me on the Facebook group that I run, and I will just give you some that way. I don't mind doing the odd sale every now and again, like through the Facebook group and things like that, but it's just the Etsy group, it's just it's too much. And then I got a bad review as well. Someone said I just don't like it, and they gave me 1 star, and I don't think people realise how bad the reviews affect your shop on Etsy. They can tank your shop pretty badly for a couple of days until you manage to get another bit of good feedback and get back on your feet. Etsy go by the reviews, and if your reviews are pretty bad, your shop is no longer as visible to people, and that stresses me out. It really, really does, and it's why I've never strived for is it Star Seller? Because I didn't want to have to keep that title. I do not want to be stressed out by a shop. Star Seller, the only reason why I don't have that is because I don't track all of my parcels. So the UK parcels that I send out first class. I don't send out tracked, and that is to keep the money down for the customers. But at the same time, I'm glad I do it because I don't want Star Seller status, because I don't want to be trying to reach that Star Seller status every single month, if that makes sense. I just don't want to be caught up in it all. The money is a good help. It really was a good help. And all the money that I earned from Etsy has gone into a savings account for my daughter. As soon as I realised she was pregnant, I put it all into a savings account for her. So I'm not making any profit anyway. And it's just like, I don't know. When it comes back though, I'm just going to grab a sip of coffee. When it comes back, my shop, I'm thinking of moving from Etsy to a separate store. So the only way that people will find it is through my links, not on Etsy. And I think with that, it will give me way less customers, because I will be, I will be the one that is promoting it, and you're not really going to find my shop unless I give you the link, if that makes sense. I'm not going to be so public, and I think that for me is going to be the best option, because I then don't have to pay the Etsy fees, which are ridiculous. I mean, they are and they aren't. I mean, they are if you're not earning a lot of money, then the Etsy fees are ridiculous. But if you're one of these big sellers there, and as you don't see it so much, then I suppose it's not. But Etsy take 20%, and when you're selling things for cheap, or like cheaper prices, so my putty goes for £4, and they're taking 20% on that, and then I've got all the fees that it cost me to make it and ship it and everything. So for, I don't know how much profit I'm making, about £1.50 to £2 profit, say, if that. I think it's about £1.75, I believe I make per putty. Is it worth £1.75 to have the mental stress that I do? And the answer is no. So that's why I shut it. Yeah, but when I come back, I think I'm going to do my own store and not worry about the Etsy rat race. That's the word I'm thinking about. My brain's waking up a bit more now. It's the Etsy rat race, where you're competing against everybody else. You're trying to get seen all the time. You want all your pictures to be on point. Like, your pictures have to be the best that you can do. And I am terrible at pictures. So everything is like a giant rat race on there. It's a nightmare, and it really stresses you out. So I'd rather just have, my own little corner, my own little website. I'll just leave the link in my videos. I'll share it to my Facebook group, and if anybody buys anything, people buy stuff. If they don't, they don't. And I'm going to leave it at that, because I still want to make my handmade cover minders and my handmade needle minders. I really, really like making them. I still want to make my putty, and I want to make a couple of random things every now and again. So when I feel like making something random, like a little pot for your trash drills with diamond painting, or I don't know, what else would I make? I did make like storage things before, so if I ever make storage things again, or if I ever want to get rid of some diamond paintings, I can put them there. Or if I want to destash anything from cross stitch, I can put it on the website and let you guys know. It can be my own little thing, and that's what I want. So I am happy with my decision. I just don't know when I'm gonna come back. What else have we got to talk about? Oh gosh. Oh, we had a right old time with my son's new lessons this week. So my youngest, the one that homeschools, Right, okay, so his homeschooling people, the school, decided to change the way his homeschooling was going. So he, as I said, like when I was talking about the Etsy shop, he does a lesson and then an hour's break, and we do that until 2 o'clock. Well, they decided to change it to 2 lessons back to back in the morning, stop for lunch, and then 2 more lessons, and we do one at 3 till 4. And at first I told them that that's not going to be a good idea, because he's already used to the hour break in between, because he's quite hyperactive. He needs to burn off some energy. So in that hour, I'll be like, off you go play, and he'll be running around the house like non-stop. You know what I mean? So he will struggle with the double lessons. But we sat down and we went to do it, and it was with a different. So it was with a different company. I'm trying to think how to explain this without giving you the names of the online learning people. So the first ones we did with the hour and the break were one company, and this one with the double lessons back to back was a new company. So I joined the lesson, and the teacher instantly said, "Put your webcam on." And I was like, "You what?" Webcam? And she was like, "Put your webcam on, we have to have it, it's mandatory, and put your mic on." So I was like, "Oh, okay." No, did not expect that. So that annoyed me. So we put it on, and my son instantly felt uncomfortable. He ended up rolled up into a ball because of the webcam, and he barely learned anything in that lesson. He didn't learn anything. He didn't want to interact with her at all. She kept complaining that she couldn't see him because he was curled up in a ball. He did not want to interact with anything. So I'll be honest, I got really, really mad halfway through the lesson, because this woman was being quite rude. She had no idea about Harrison's autism. She had no idea that he didn't want to be on webcam or anything like that. I don't think anyone had given her any notes of Harrison and the way he was. So I said, F this, and I shut the laptop after about 35 minutes. I was fuming. So I ended up phoning the school, and I said, "Why have you sent Harrison to a new online forum where he has to show his webcam and he has to be on the mic 24/7? Because we have been learning with this other company perfectly fine with no mic and no webcam. He can have his mic on, but he clicks it on and off, if that makes sense. So if he wants to talk instead of type an answer, he can talk and then come back off. And that's what we do. But the majority of the time he types." And she said, "Oh, I didn't realise." I said, "Well, I kept trying to mute the teacher, and she was unmuting me from the other side of the screen. So they have the power to unmute you." And I tried joining that lesson muted, and it wouldn't let me. If I muted it, if I disallowed the mic, I then couldn't hear her. So I had no choice. I had to put the mic on. And then I kept trying to click the mute button on the lesson, and she kept bloody unmuting it from the other side. She was like, "No, we have to have your mic unmuted, please." And I was like, oh my god. Even I was uncomfortable, and I weren't doing the lesson. So I had a bit of a moan at the teachers for that, and I said, "We will be going back to the old lessons. I am not doing that." And Harrison actually logged himself back into the old lessons after that. He said, "I'm not doing that again," and he went straight back onto the old platform with the old teachers that already have got used to him. They don't know him, but they know they're used to him, if that makes sense. I just said the same thing twice. Yeah, it's where we are now. It's more comfortable for him. And I just don't understand why they wanted to change it. For somebody that doesn't like change and for a webcam and a mic. It was just really weird. The teacher said that she wasn't aware of it, but I don't know why they changed it in the first place. No, it makes no sense. Anyway, I've been arguing with the teacher all week, and they've finally decided to let him stay on the old platform. They had a go at me because they said it's very costly changing these, and I said, well, I would never requested it in the first place, so why did you change it? So she was complaining that it was expensive, but I wasn't the one that changed it, she was. So she's just cost them money for no reason, because she knew. She must have known that he weren't going to like it. She must have known. Oh, he also had an accident this week. It was actually that day. Yeah, it was that day. The Monday, last Monday, because you're watching it on a Thursday, not the one just gone, but the week before. He had that lesson on the Monday, and he became stressed out for the entire day. So at night time, he was having a tantrum, and he jumped on our chair. So he has this rocking chair in his room, and it's a gamer chair. It's a rocking gamer chair, and it's like this leather fabric. It folds up flat if you want it to move, and it was propped up in a corner. So the top of the chair was against the wall. So he was having this tantrum with me, and I wouldn't say he threw himself into it, but he slumped his knees on the end of the chair. And because it was against the wall, instead of going forwards like a rocker would, it hit him back in the face like a slingshot. It just kind of slapped him straight in the face. And he had this huge bump on his head. And I was like, oh no. At first he wouldn't let me look because he panics when he hurts himself. So he wouldn't let me look at first. And then when I finally did get to look, it was this big old bump, and I was like, oh no. Thankfully he didn't bleed. Like you could see a line of blood collecting that it looked like it was gonna split, but thank God he didn't split his head open, because he would have freaked. So we ended up putting a cold compress on it, getting him to sit down, and then I had to stay awake with him because I weren't sure if he'd had a concussion, because he did this at like 9:30 at night. So I said, Harrison, we're going to need to stay awake. Let's do something fun. Let's watch movies in bed. So he managed to stay awake until 12. Usually he's awake until 12 anyway. But I think it was the exhaustion of it all. He was very stressed out. It very much stressed him out, if that makes sense. Like he was very, very shocked by it, because I don't think he realised that he would hurt himself because he throws himself everywhere, and he's always quite lucky that he never hurts himself, but this time he did, and obviously it freaked him out. So I tried to keep him awake, and it was about 12:30 when I said, okay, you can go to sleep. I probably could have kept him awake a bit longer than that, or probably should have, but I could tell that he was okay. He wasn't sick, he wasn't feeling dizzy, he looked completely himself, he was talking like himself. There was no change in his behaviour whatsoever, other than when it got to midnight he started feeling sleepy. And I said, okay, well, he'd even had something to eat, he'd had something to drink, you know, he was okay, and I know my son, so I knew that he wasn't off, if that makes sense. So I said, alright, okay, you can go to sleep. So he was absolutely knackered, bless him, and then when he woke up, the bump had gone down dramatically, thank goodness. And he's okay, but he does have a bit of a bruise there. But yeah, he was, bless his little heart, he panicked, and when he hurts himself, he don't like me looking at it. Like, say if he cuts his leg, he runs off and hides. You can't put a plaster on him, he won't let you touch him, he'll leg it. So it's very, very difficult to get him help when he's hurt, because he just won't let you touch it. So yeah, And I think that is all I've got to say, actually. This is going to be a very, very short one. I suppose I better go get my son up for Saturday school and see whether he wants to go out in the cold. Please take care if you're in a colder place than me. I am quite worried about everybody over in the US, like with all these snowstorms and everything. It looks blooming awful. Please take care, and I hope that you're all safe and sound, and yeah, I hope everybody's safe. Next time I do a stitch with me, I won't be so half asleep. I am sorry about that, but it's because of the 24-hour cross stitch challenge. I don't have a lot of time, unfortunately, this weekend. And the next time I would like to stitch for a bit longer on this Tomb Raider chart. I would like to be able to show you a bit more, because we've literally just done a black square, basically. But, well, I suppose there is a bit of green in there. I can see a little bit of green. Anyway, take care, everybody, and bye-bye.